The Missouri's much more crooked since we passed the Great River Platte than before, but not so rapid in general. More prairies. The timber's scarcer. John Ordway, 1804. Captain Lewis and myself walked in the prairie on top of the bluff and observed the most beautiful prospects imaginable. The prairies contain a great variety of plants and flowers not common to the U.S. What a field for a botanist and a naturalist. Captain William Clark, 1804. As Lewis and Clark and their men navigated the great Missouri River, they saw a wide floodplain, unchanged since the last ice age, abundant with wildlife. Today, there are few places the explorers might recognize, but this is one. DeSoto National Wildlife Refuge, where nature meets history. DeSoto National Wildlife Refuge is an oasis for wildlife, surrounded by farmland just half an hour north of Omaha, Nebraska. The refuge is divided by the Missouri River and includes land in both Iowa and Nebraska. The meandering Missouri River, also known as Big Muddy, nourished this area for thousands of years, creating wetlands, prairies, and forests. Here, generations of Native Americans hunted and fished, sustained by the river's bounty. Today, DeSoto's varied habitats, ranging over more than 8,000 acres, provide food and shelter for a wide variety of wildlife, and a view back in time for us. In the bottomland forests, cottonwoods tower 100 feet or more. DeSoto's grasslands are home to hundreds of plant species, creating a rich habitat for wildlife. The refuge's wetlands also provide critical habitat for fish, reptiles, amphibians, and birds. Many of the wetlands center around DeSoto Lake, an oxbow that was created by the Corps of Engineers in 1960. And the Missouri River, once traveled by Lewis and Clark, now takes a less meandering route through the refuge. Winter can be long and hard at DeSoto, but the refuge's residents know where to find the food and shelter they need. Despite the icy chill, many bald eagles come to DeSoto during the winter. They migrate here in the fall, and some stay until spring, escaping an even harsher climate further north. Although DeSoto Lake freezes over, fish can still be caught in the fast-flowing Missouri. The warmth of spring brings new life and activity to the refuge. The wild turkeys have courtship on their minds. They will nest here, but for many bird species, spring triggers the urge to travel. Migrating birds have followed the Missouri each spring and fall since the last ice age. As their resting and feeding sites along the flyway have disappeared, refuges such as DeSoto have become increasingly vital to their survival. DeSoto's wetlands become a temporary home for a variety of shorebirds and waterfowl. They arrive from the Gulf Coast in early spring on their way to their nesting grounds. For some, an amazing 1,700-mile journey. Most birds fly on after a few days at DeSoto, but white pelicans and cormorants usually stay in the area for several weeks. And some waterfowl are residents and stay here to nest and raise their young. In spring, the woods fill with color and music as a variety of songbirds arrive from Central and South America. Other species target the prairie. For most of the migrants, DeSoto is one stop on their way further north. But for some, including dick sissels and several sparrow species, DeSoto is their final destination. The refuge's prairie provides safe nesting sites away from predators such as coyotes, foxes, and raccoons, which prefer the edges of grasslands. For many years, the spring thaw also triggered a different sort of migration. From the early 1800s until the 1930s, steamboats plied the Missouri River, carrying people and goods in both directions. They serviced the fur trade, frontier forts and settlements, and gold and silver mining towns. The river was treacherous, and some 400 steamboats wrecked on their journey. One was named the Bertrand.
Steamboat sunk. She struck a snag and sank in 10 minutes in 12 feet of water. Boat and cargo valued at $100,000. Total loss. No lives lost. Council Bluff, Nonpareil, April 8, 1865.
The Bertrand lay under 30 feet of silt and sand at the notorious DeSoto Bend for more than a century, until it was discovered and excavated in 1968. Most of its cargo, as many as 250,000 objects, remained intact. Among them is a blackboard that once belonged to young Fanny Campbell. She was traveling upriver to join her parents in Montana. Home doctoring was common on the frontier, and the Bertrand carried a good supply of bottled medicines. Most were foul-tasting and had no real curative powers, but the high alcohol content made them effective painkillers. Each item has a story to tell about life in the mid-19th century. The Bertrand and its cargo provide a unique view of a time gone by. In summer, the prairie bursts into bloom, attracting butterflies and other insects. Most migratory birds have already flown north, but an increasing number of sparrows, dick sissels, and other forest and prairie birds spend the summer on DeSoto. In the wetlands, a few white pelicans may linger on before continuing their journey north. But the summer is mostly a time for DeSoto's resident species to enjoy some relative calm. Many wood ducks have made their home here, nesting and raising their young on the refuge. Amphibians and reptiles are out and about, their cold blood warmed by the sun. DeSoto National Wildlife Refuge was founded in 1958 as a sanctuary for migratory birds, primarily ducks and geese. Each spring and fall, spectacular flights of birds stop over to rest and feed. Mallards, Canada geese, and historically snow geese are the most common migratory waterfowl species to use the refuge. DeSoto is part of the National Wildlife Refuge System, established by President Theodore Roosevelt in 1903. The system now includes hundreds of refuges. It is the largest network of lands and waters in the world set aside for the benefit of wildlife. In addition to providing stopover spots for millions of migratory birds, the refuges protect and manage important habitat for threatened and endangered species. The restored prairies, wetlands, and bottomland forests at DeSoto are just some of those important habitats. Fall brings the return of the bald eagles to DeSoto. Once on the endangered species list, bald eagles were delisted in 2007. Our nation's symbol was brought back from the brink of extinction by the banning of DDT and the protection of critical habitats, such as DeSoto. The cottonwoods along DeSoto Lake and the Missouri River provide a perfect perch for bald eagles to nest and watch for prey. From big successes to everyday moments, DeSoto opens windows on the natural world and the past. DeSoto National Wildlife Refuge, where nature meets history.